yet. This is the reason I'm waiting for everyone to come. Because the installation is a bit of a pain. We're going to have to go through. All right, now I could have done this day one, but the problem with day one doing this is that there's installations going on day one to this. And I included another one, and we'll show you guys. Okay? So this is what it's going to look like. Now I got to pull up another terminal. So I'm going to say command again. Again, just watch, guys. I'm not expecting you to do this. So my first command is mongod, which kicked off the server, but it is. And the second command is mongo. And when I kick mongo off, what happens is it connects to my little server, right? That's what it does. And notice this connecting to mongo, and now it's pausing. That we have some kind of weird disconnection or preventing this from happening. But it's trying to connect. That's what it's trying to do. And this should be responding right now. Okay? Let's try this again. So if I command C, I want to show this one more time. So here's my connection. And let's try this again. So mongod to kick off the server, and then mongo to kind of make sure that how that works. Okay, see that? Don't be afraid of it, and it looks like a lot of garbage, and it is. Right? Just server running on this terminal window, and then Mongo command line on this one, right? And we can do some commands like show, databases. You can do that. We're going to learn some of these commands. Okay, so that's a couple of them that we're going to do. And there's other commands we're going to learn. But so that you're going to have these two terminal windows up when we're doing command line stuff with Mongo. Now remember that even though we're doing command line stuff with Mongo, this is not how we normally access it. Right? MongoDB is the backend server we're going to talk about today. And sure, we can access it through the command line, but this is not the common way we access it before. Back to the first day, we talked about, and the second day, we talked about model view controller pattern, right? Model view controller pattern. And this is, we're going to have a model, a schema, some kind of way of connecting and handling database connections. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to do these two windows. So I'm just going to get out of here and get out of here. We'll close these windows up. No, notice this. If I go, if I want to know the versioning of this thing, we can do that too, right? So it says version 6.2, right? There's a bunch of stuff here. It says MongoDB internal client version 2.43 and so on. But really, I'm running version 6 something, and if you notice over here, this is version 4.05. This is the current release online. All right, so I'll give you the link on Slack. This is where I want you to download. It's available for both Windows and Mac. So if you actually look at this, you can do this too. Here's Mac OS, right? We're going to be downloading and installing our Windows package. Couple things to note. Again, don't do it yet. There's reasons for this. Couple things to note. On our C drive. My C drive is pretty full. Okay, clean it up. We've been downloading all kinds of stuff today, or recently. So yeah, let's go back to my C drive. So here's my C drive. You can see it's full. I got 61 gigs left. If you go on there, you can see that there is in the root of the folder, there's a data folder. See this? It's kind of hard to see with my settings. Let me see if I can make that bigger for you guys. Because I wanted to show you this, I want to kind of kill these windows for a second. We don't need them anymore. Let's go into a larger display set. Data. So the root is, or the path is C:data. So you're going to need to create this. Please do it now. Make a new folder and see on the root of your computer, right, on the C drive, called data. Do it. And then underneath that, make a DB folder. That's two folders. Data folder on your C:, kind of root. And so if you see the address, it says C::data, and then under that you want to have DB. All right, so 2 folders. Keep them empty. All right. By the way, this is not for Macs. Macs is a totally different installation method, and I recommend you you kind of go up and look. You have to do a little bit of Googling because you still need the data folder and the DB folder, but there's a totally different way of doing it. I don't have a Mac with me, so I can't show you, right? But there is the same kind of idea, right? So why do we need these folders? Because by default, MongoDB, and this is to provide you with maximum compatibility is what we're doing, okay? There's other ways of doing it too. You can do a local folder every single time. That's just crazy. It means you're going to make a data folder, a DB folder every single time you make a project. That doesn't make sense to me. We're going to have one MongoDB instance, just one. You can also install MongoDB as a service, okay, on your Windows, a Windows service. Don't do this, all right? It's just, you're not going to run a Mongo server. This is not your thing. This is not your job to run a Mongo server. We're going to do something completely different. So again, C, data, and then DB. And when we get databases, you're going to see them appear in here. These are all examples of some databases and collections. You will have nothing in here in the beginning, okay? But this is where all your database information is stored, okay? And it's hashed and secure and all that stuff. All right, so again, C, data, DB. So data is the outside folder, and then DB is the inside folder. Are you with me? If you're not with me, you'll lose me afterwards. And you're going to go, Tom, slow down. I don't know why, but Mongo doesn't work. Why? Because you don't have a C data folder or a DB folder inside the data folder. Right? You need those 2 things. All right. Step 2. So once we've done this, now we can do this. I'm going to download. Oh wait, one more thing. One more thing here. Sorry for my voice today. The other thing is that notice that in my folders there is no, you know, on the root there's no Mongo, but underneath there you're going to get in your program files. In your program files, you're going to get this. Go down, so you can see it, a MongoDB folder, right? Your program files eventually. That's what's going to happen. Not now. When you install it, it's going to go here. Notice that there's server. You can see that I have a couple of them, 3.4 and 3.6. Right? It's going to, every time I install Mongo, it actually installs another instance of a server. Right now, I'm going to install a new one with you guys today. Right? So here's how it goes. I'm going to click download. I'm going to say thank you for downloading Mongo. I'm going to download it somewhere, maybe on my desktop or my downloads folder, doesn't matter. It's an MSI file, which means it's executable. I can start like installing. It's an installation binary. And it's right now what I'm seeing is it's about 198 megabytes, right? So it's not that small. It will take a little bit of time for us to get that done. All right, so why don't you click on it, let us download. We'll come back to this. Excuse me, while I'm showing you the PowerPoint stuff. Okay, because I don't want to wait. Let's not waste time because we have lots of stuff to cover today. And today is one of those days. Truly, we have a lot of stuff to cover, and there's so little time for us to do it all. I'm not even sure I can do it all in one day, even in 4 hours. Okay, that's how much stuff we have to cover today. All right, so again, what I want to do is talk to you guys about Mongo. I put a lesson PowerPoint online, right? And I may put another one up later as well. We'll see how it goes. So installation is the first part. Again, we're going with this book. We're moving along with this book to continue with it. Sign in required. Doesn't matter anytime sign in doesn't, right? So I'm going to kind of go into the next pieces. So these are the things we're going to cover today, plus other stuff. Understanding the NoSQL movement in MongoDB. MongoDB vSyn. It's like JSON, but it's not. MongoDB collections and documents, what they mean. MongoDB query language, how that works. And working with MongoDB shell, which is what we just showed. I showed you now. All right. And in addition to other stuff. All right. So what the heck is NoSQL? Right? Because NoSQL is one of these things that has been really wildly popular over the last little while. Like what NoSQL is. So think about this. We've had all these relational databases lately. SQL Server is an example of a relational database. And we have been having these other things pop up too, an object relational mapper, which is basically what it does is it maps your database with a model. That's what basically it does. And in the MVC command pattern, right, that we've been using, and it's happening now in .NET and other kinds of programming languages and environments. We're mapping this, our database with some kind of object, a data object. And then, we kept on going bigger and bigger. We're noticing that it's taking a lot more time, because we have a lot of web applications have scaling problems, and it's like you need a separate person to do, database, the database person, right? A database administrator to take stuff. And sometimes we have, as we continue to move bigger and bigger, it's like sometimes we don't need to be so big. Like we have a web application that doesn't need relational databases at all. It doesn't have any kind of relations from one thing to the other, or the relations are so small that we don't need a huge setup. We don't need another server. We don't need all this stuff, right? So how do we accomplish this? With simplicity, but utility as well. The other thing that we found was that, hey, now remember how it was before, right? We had HTML, we had CSS, we had JavaScript, we had PHP, and then there's SQL language too, right? SQL, SQL. We have to learn all those things, right? That's like 5 different languages we have to learn to develop on the web. And again, going back to that simplicity of form, imagine if you only need to know one language, right? JavaScript. And it's JavaScript everywhere, especially on the back end. This idea of, in a relational database, you have a table. And the table has, like, let's say, a primary key, as an example, right? So what we're going to be showing you now is something called, more like a document-oriented database, right? We have a bunch of documents. Each document is inside of a collection of documents, right? That's what's going to be happening, right? And a collection of documents, and when we talk about collections for MongoDB, I want you to think about when I say collection, in your mind, you should think table, just a table, right? A bunch of similar records, right? A record in a NoSQL database is document, okay? And instead of fields, we have properties. Just like you would normally have. In an object, you don't have fields, you have properties typically, right? You can call them fields too, but typically we call them properties, right? So, it talks about here how if we needed in a SQL solution, if I was going to make a blog post, this is kind of weird because we don't make blogs anymore. We just don't do that stuff. Not from scratch, but it used to be a thing. Like, let's make our own blog. Okay? Now we just use software that has it. But in the past, what we need is like a post table and a comments table, right? And the post table and the comments table will be totally different, and we make a relationship between one and the other, right? So we have like a lot of data to set that up. In the back end, setting up the tables, it may look like nothing, but actually there's quite a bit of things that happen on the back end to make that work, right? But with a document, kind of oriented database that we're going to be talking about here, it's going to be looking like this. I have some kind of title, this is my first blog post. And then the comments are embedded as a secondary document within the document, right? Which is just like we would normally have with a JSON, with a piece of JSON data. So JSON, you guys remember what JSON looks like, right? We have curly braces that indicate this is the beginning of the JSON data file. And then we have some kind of property. So title will be a property, and the name of the property is first blog post, right? And then comments is an array of objects. That's what it is, an array of objects, right? So take a look at this. So an array of these objects, I have 2 objects, one that has a title, first comment, and another one that has another title, second comment. So you can see that these objects only have one property, right, each, but they're actually objects because they're also surrounded by curly braces. So if you think about that structure, how easy that is, as opposed to I make a table, I have an index, I got all this structure. It's pretty crazy. what we have to do to have something simple like this, right? Now, let me tell you this ahead of time before we get into the whole you know, installation and usage and all that stuff. There are uses for both, right? If you're going to do an e-commerce website, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I don't know which one I should do. Should I do relational database or should I do NoSQL? I don't know. It's a lot of relations you're going to have to make on your own, which is something that, you know, SQL databases are already known to do well, right? So we'll talk about that as maybe an option. All right, so again, we got this, you know, document-based database, and relational database, right? And that's what it talks about here. I'm not going to read all this stuff. There's just way too much to read. And I want you to think about this. Here's another problem. When you're developing your application and something in your model changes. A good example of that is, what's a model? Let's say, for example, I have a person object that I want to store, and I want to have some information from them. We talked about person last couple weeks ago. We used TypeScript, right? Person would have maybe a name and an age. So we make that model, put it up, we have a table, really cool, and now we want to change something. I want to change that table, I want to add another field. Oh my God, right? There's a whole other thing to do to make that field, that change happen, right? That's really challenging. And whereas this wouldn't be, because you're going to see that we can make model changes very quickly. If I want to add a new property to a field, or a new field to a table, man, it's like a cascade of problems. I have to rejig all my code in C#. If I was working in C#, or in Java, if I was doing it there, or somewhere else, even on PHP. Oh my God, it would be like a crazy amount of data. Maybe sometimes I'd have to change. But not so in with NoSQL databases. All you have to do is add another property, and it's not a problem. But one thing that's really weird, positive and negative about NoSQL is that you don't have to have every document the same in the collection. So again, think about, I have a collection of documents, and in our minds normally we think about every document as exactly the same pattern, right? You don't have to do that in NoSQL. You can have one document that's one thing, another document is something else. So kind of makes, like, you know, a collection customizable as you'd like for your data. Somewhat good and somewhat bad. It's bad too. So that's what I'm saying here. So sometimes they're schema-less. Instead of having a schema altogether, like having some kind of pattern, which is like every document record has to have the exact same pattern, name, age, and some other stuff for the person. Maybe the first one only has name. I only care about the person's name. Maybe the second one has name and age. Maybe the third one has name, age, and telephone number. I mean, it's like you can do whatever you want. And it doesn't have to have the same pattern whatsoever. Now, from a loop perspective, making a looping structure, it makes sense to have the same pattern every single time. We're going to see that. We're going to use the same pattern. Okay? But basically what it says is, and this is the difference between a MySQL database and a SQL database, is the application has control, not the database. So it's taking back control from the database back into the application. And again, some people are like, especially if you're a database person, you're like, wait, no, don't do that. No, that's not good. We've been taught this whole time that the database is where the power is, right? So again, there's different NoSQL databases that are out there. We're going to be talking about one of the most popular ones called MongoDB. Okay, but there's a bunch of other ones that are out there. So again, going back to that 2007, 2008 time frame. Remember 2008? V8 for 2008. We made the V8 engine, Google, right? And then in 2009, Node became really popular, right? Back in 2007. They were looking, they had this idea to create a hosting service, a little bit of history, and so they had the different projects that came up, and one of them was this idea of a document-based database called Mongo, and it came from the word humongous, right? That's what they came up with MongoDB, right? And they've had a very active community with a lot of commits, okay? So basically, one thing that it allows is JSON outputs. It looks like JSON when it comes out. Okay, that's what it looks like. It's not quite JSON. It's actually decent, but it's very, very close to JSON. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Big companies started to use that back in the day. eBay, New York Times, and even I think Amazon at one point was using Mongo on the back end, not anymore. But that's how it was happening. When it says VC backed, if you ever read anything that says VC, this is venture capitalists. So a lot of like little startups would start off, and you had these hosting services that would host, databases and all that stuff. And it got really, really popular. And some of the key features are JSON-like storage. So again, it looks like JSON, but that's called JSON, right? A document consists of a list of elements, properties, however you want to call them. And usually it's like some kind of, each has a string. It's kind of it looks like a string because it's like JSON looks, with like kind of a name, a field name, and some kind of value, all right? So almost like key value pairs. So that's what it's like inside the document itself. Okay? The ID, you're going to see this thing called underscore ID, is the primary key. Whenever you have each of the documents inside the collection is going to have an ID. If you don't tell it what to do, you can tell Mongo that, hey, I want this particular ID as number 1, 2, 3, 4. You can count it yourself. But what it actually does for you is it generates a unique identifier for every ID. All right? So there is no pattern necessarily, right? You don't have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be more like a big hash. That's what it is. So each object or collection each document in the collection has a unique ID, right? Which is totally different every single time, right? And what they do is they use 4 bytes representing the second since the Unix epoch, right? So like some kind of, I don't know, when we first started using Unix. 3 bytes machine identifier, 2 bytes for process ID, and another 3 bytes starting with some kind of random value. So that's how they do the hash. That's like what, 7 and 9 or 12 bytes. That's, each of your IDs is roughly 12 bytes. So it's pretty hard to get the exact same ID every single time. So why would we do this? Why would we bother doing this? Why not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Well, the great thing about this is it makes it so that each ID is unique, and that means you can mix and match collections and documents, and you won't have to worry about what does number 1 mean. Is it number 1 in this table or number 1 for that table? You don't care. When you get all the IDs, it doesn't matter. They're all different, right? So you'll never have the same ID twice. You could do it if you really want to, and sometimes you do. Sometimes it makes sense for us to create our own IDs because we want kind of an action we want to step through each of the identifiers different. But a lot of times what we may want to do is something else, maybe some other kind of pattern that allows us to step through. Remember, we don't have to use a for loop, we can use a for each loop a lot of times to move through data, right? For each loop doesn't care about indexes, right? And the old way to do it was to use an index-based system where we would step through everything with a for loop. We don't have to do that here. So here's what it would look like. So you have, this would be an example of a document instead of a collection. You have an ID, like this, and then you have this area here with object ID with an open bracket and quotations. And then there's your 12 character or whatever, 12-bit hash that has kind of looks like really random, and it's a generated hash. Then you have some kind of your first property, title, and its value, first blog post, and the second property, comments, and its value, which is, you notice, an array. So it's interesting. I can have an array of elements inside of a document, which is exactly what we would expect without having multiple tables. Okay. Again, it's almost like I can have documents within documents within documents within documents, all in the same collection. Okay. The challenge with that is every document is unique, right? Which means that it's difficult to step through those things. Okay. And when you're going to go there, if you're going to have a lot of relations inside of a MongoDB database, again, in your mind, you think to yourself, okay, I'm a programmer. I'm going to be the consultant in my company. Is this the right solution? And sometimes Mongo, it's not the right solution. You have to kind of think of that as well. All right, so, okay, so the problem that we had was like this this key value kind of pairs. They had this kind of limited query capability, like a search kind of thing. So MongoDB created their own dynamic query language to do that. And really, the old way was doing something like this: select star from posts where title is like blah blah, right? And for us, it's going to be db.post.find, right? Almost like in this, it's kind of hard to see. Look at your PowerPoint. But db.post.find, posts db, it says, hey, database. And I always think about this as called, hey, database. I'm looking for, in the posts collection, I want to find an object with the title of Mongo. That's how it looks, right? And it looks for all the objects, and it returns all these. And it uses almost like a regular expression to do all that stuff, okay? So we're going to see more of that as we go. Let's stop here for a second before we go further, because I want to show you this in real life. Let's see, hopefully we've been able to download our stuff. Here it is. Let's continue with the download, please. So go back to your download, if you haven't done this already. Now let's do it together. So again, I'm going to click on this thing. I'm going to bring up the Windows installer, and it says, it should say what it says for me. Welcome to MongoDB 4.05, 2008 R2 plus SSL, 64-bit setup wizard. Next. Again, we downloaded this from MongoDB, right? Next, accept the terms of the license agreement. Next. Okay, now it says complete or custom. I'm going to click custom, of course, right? Custom. And it's going to tell me that I've got all the stuff, either server, client, monitoring tools, import, export tools, all the stuff. I'm keeping all of it anyway, but I'm just going to show you the custom way of doing it. Look where it's putting it. It's putting it inside of, let's put this way up here so you can see this. It's putting it inside of C program files MongoDB server 4.0. Remember I had MongoDB 3.6? Okay. And then I'm going to click next. And it says, okay, so install MongoDB as a service. No. Uncheck that, please. Do not do this. This would be very bad. Once you start going into MongoDB as a service and stuff, there's no need for it. You don't need to do that. Okay, next. All right, and now it says, by checking below, the installer will automatically download and install all the piece parts you need. It says, install MongoDB Compass. No. All right, don't do that. It's another tool, right, that you don't need. No need for this. Next. Okay, ready to install MongoDB. Yay, install. If you just check, full, it's going to give you stuff you don't need, right? And it's going to make your installation all messed up. We're done. That's all you need to do. All right, if I click finish, now that's part one of our installation. So part one is, hey, we set up a data folder and a DB folder on the root, SQL and backslash, all right? Has to go there. Can't go on H, can't go on D. So you know, all right? Or anything else like that. Next, we got some funky stuff to do, people. Because I want this thing to work, right? My challenge is I want the right version to work. I have 3 versions installed. Which one is going to work? So we need to go into this problem that we had before. So a lot of you have been experiencing problems where NPM isn't working, or Node isn't working properly. We're going to go through that again. So I'm going to go into Advanced System Settings. I'm going to click on my window. I'm going to type in Advanced System Settings. Do this with me, people, because you're going to have a problem later, all right? So I just type in Advanced, and Advanced System Settings comes up like this, okay? Under Advanced System Settings, we have environment variables. We need to modify these, all right? Modify the environment variables. If I click on environment variables, I'm going to have this path right here, this path up here. So I want you to think of this as 2 pieces to environment variables. Okay, environment variables basically tell us, if I use my command line, how to launch applications from my command line. Even simple applications like dir. That's actually an application. And if you can mess this up so bad that your command line will be completely unusable, just let me know, right? So please follow my instructions. This is for developers only, right? This is not for users. If you're a user, maybe you should think about not being in this course, right? You guys are all developers. Okay, that's what I'm saying, right? You're all developers. So this is for you. If someone asks you about this and they say, what is that? How do you work it? Why are you even bothering with that? Don't touch the Windows stuff. Forget about that. I'm going to go to the path variable. All of you should have a path variable. I'm going to click edit. I'm using Windows 10, so you see what I see. I have a bunch of different things here. Notice that one of them is program files MongoDB server 3.4. Now you might not have any of this. Do you have any of that? Do you have any MongoDB thing in there? No. And look at this, program files x86. That's not right. Where did I just install Mongo? Somewhere totally different. And if you wanted to look at this, this is where people will get messed up, okay? Or if it's not going to work, you're going to type Mongo and it's going to go, nope. Why? Because we didn't install Mongo as a service. We don't want to do this. We want to do this, right? More control. So if I go back to my my PC for example, and take a look at where it all got installed, and if I go, don't do this yet, but I'm going to show you. If I go to program files, you can see that I have my I scroll down, I have MongoDB, and I have server, and then I have 4. I can straighten up, I put this in here, it's 4, right? So I need to look in here inside bin. This is where it's got to be. This is where all the commands are. Notice there's a bunch of little executables, right? Okay, well, so, but let me take a look at what that says back where we just looked. Where we were looking, it says, oh no, I want to look at MongoDB server 3.4 in program files, right? That's where it says, that's wrong. Can't look there. So, a couple things to note. If you don't have it, I'm just going to delete mine. I'm going to assume you don't have it. I want to make my new one, right? So the way to do this is to click new, right? Click new. It's going to make a new space for me. I'm going to go back to this area here where I went to C:\/ program files MongoDB server for bin. Right click on this line here and make edit address, right? Now copy the address from here so I don't have to type anything, so I don't have to make any finger typing errors because we make problems typing sometimes, right? And go back to this area here, and then in this new area that I made, paste. So you should see something like this: C:\/ program files MongoDB server for bin. You don't have this in your advanced system settings and your environment variables. Your MongoDB will never work. At least not the way it's installed. For Mac users, there's a totally different installation protocol. So please, you have to Google yourself. Go Google install MongoDB, as an example for Mac. There's a totally different way of doing it. You have to use sudo a lot of times anyway. There is no other way to go around that with Mongo. I'm just letting you know in advance. What? For Mac? Which on Slack?
Me check.
Let's take a look what you gave me. Yeah, I would recommend Homebrew. Absolutely. This is the way to do it, right? Because once you do it through Homebrew, then it makes it a lot easier. This is the way. And notice it says this. It says the exact same thing, DataDB, right? Because you need to do this for your database, right? If you don't do this, then you'll never have DataDB anymore. But this is the right process. Thank you for that. So what do we do? Why don't we share that? Why don't you share the same thing on the Slack general channel? Okay. All right. So this is the first part. So the first part is we're installing it. We put it in here. By the way, if you have control of your machine, if it's not the machine in front of you in the lab, if you're using a lab machine, you may not be able to do this. But I will do the same thing, not just here. I'm going to press OK, but also in here, on the second part down here. This is for just your user. This is for all users on the bottom over here, right? I'm going to go down to the path on the bottom. I'm going to double click the path. You have a lot more stuff on the path, like this. And again, if it's here, it's going to appear in one of these things here. Since it's unit look for it, right? Just be careful. You don't want to have multiple ones. But look, notice I have one right here. So it shows me 3.4. This is no good. I want to delete it, right? I don't want to have a clashing kind of installation of one to the other. I want to click new, and then I want to press Control V again to kind of type in the new path, right? Which is C:\program files Mongo server 4.0. Okay. I'm going to press OK on here, and I'm going to press OK on here, and now I'm going to test my installation because one thing is doing and the other one is testing, right? So if it works, then we should have the same situation. I'm going to go Command, so CMD. It's going to come up like this, and it may give you an error. But you know, this might be an error that I'm missing over too. And I'll talk about the error in a second. I'll fix that, right? But I'm going to type mongod. First thing you have to type is mongod, right? And now if I'm good, it's going to say, it would say, okay, but it says we have an error. It says, important, upgrade problem. Data files need to be fully upgraded. Why? Because I have a previous version of Mongo. And to be honest with you, I really don't care about the data files at all. We're going to make new ones, okay? If I cared about the database, then I'd have to follow a procedure to upgrade my data files from one version to the other. Here, I'm not going to do this because we're starting anew, right? So if you had a previous version of MongoDB and you really care about the data files, please move them somewhere else. But because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill mine. So I'm going to go into C:\data. Remember data, that data directory? Under DB, I have all these files. Right, here's all the files. I don't care about them. I'm going to kill them. So I delete this. This is all the databases live here, right? So as long as I don't care about my database stuff, I just delete it. And if I do that, all I have is a data folder with a DB folder that you should have, right? If I go there and try it again now, and then this, by the way, if someone ever comes to me and says, I don't know why, but I'm getting this thing, and I can't even run MongoDB. Maybe it's because they have some old files that they've upgraded. It's not going to work perfectly on Mongo now. We're good to go, right? We're running, and what we want to try and look at is the port. We're running on 27017. That's the port that is by default you're running on. You can always change this custom port from 27017 to something else. But for us, in our little installation, we don't care. We're going to kind of come in. Are we good? Have you tried this? Does it run? If it doesn't run, won't be able to do any of the stuff going forward, right? And your exam will be a disaster, okay? Is there any Mongo on the exam too? All right, so 27017. Okay, now I want to run another terminal window. So I'm just going to type command again, CMD. So it's my second terminal window, and this is a test. If I type Mongo, not Mongod, Mongo, like this, and press enter, I should be able to connect. Now sometimes, like I showed you earlier, you need to do this twice. Like, you know, there's a connection problem. You might be able to be doing it instantaneously. It's up to, you know, the system. Let me try that again. Sometimes I got to stop the system. This is my server, right, as an example. I'm going to stop it. And one didn't work. Actually, when I did that, it actually made it work. Let's try this again. So it might look like this. I'm going to try these two things. And you're going to say, well, why, Tom? Why is it so finicky? Because running the server. Mongo, yay. And then from here I go Mongo. And then we're good. Okay? As long as I have this little arrow that goes here on the bottom, and I'm running both the server and the client, we're good. Don't worry about the warnings. Ignore the warnings. Okay? We don't care about that. Because I know what the warnings are. The warnings are saying, wait, it's not a service. Why are you doing this? Because they don't care about those things. And eventually, we're going to move away from this local server. This is just for testing and development. We're going to move away from the server, and we're going to use something called MLab. This is the new thing we're going to learn today. I'm going to put this up as well. MLab. MLab was now owned by Mongo. Mongo actually owns it, right? But MLab, where it says MongoDB, right? We're going to use this, and it's a hosted Mongo database online. Okay, why would I want a hosted Mongo database online? Well, because think about this now, right? I want you guys to host your website live. How can you host your website live if your Mongo server is on your desktop? That makes sense, right? Your Mongo server and your web server is going to be somewhere on the cloud, right? So both have to be on the cloud, not just one on your desktop and the other one on the cloud, right? So we can test locally with Mongo on your desktop. That's why I said don't make it a service, because you're not going to need it. You're going to push everything up online, right? Here's another reason why we're going to push everything up online. And we're going to do this between two online services, because in our school, Centennial, everything is blocked. Port 27017 connecting to the database online. By the way, I don't know if you noticed that, even SQL's dropped blocked. They're a SQL server, right? It's crazy, right? You can't connect. And you'll be like, oh, I can't connect to my service. Well, we're not going to care about that because your database and your web stuff is going to be online. They're going to be connecting outside of Centennial College, right? So we're going to be okay. So we have to get there. We have to get to this. We're actually going to start developing locally. Understand how to do something. Okay? We're going to do this today too. This is another thing we have to do, but I'm going to do it slowly because it's tough to talk about. All right, so here's MLab. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put this onto Slack for you guys. Shane, Mac installation. You can share it on the general channel. You did it already. That's a really good installation for Mac users. I recommend that. It's kind of the one I use. Here's MLab. So MLab is kind of a service that we're going to be using. It's a really good service and it's free. So you can actually have, some kind of, we're going to show you some, file, database, like this, and you're also going to have a web service, all free today. All right, we're going to talk about that. Now, when I say free, I mean for very small web applications that have like almost no data. That's what we're talking about. If you want anything, and very little performance. Performance is going to be low, okay? It's for students like us, okay? It's not going to be for it's not going to be rock solid. There's no guarantee it's going to be up. It's not going to compete with other database stores. If something's taking up too much space in your data, you have to be very forgiving with it because it's free. Free means you're going to have to, just take it. Okay, that's the really cool stuff that we're going to do today, but we start off again with this local database here, and there's two parts to it, server part and the client part. All right, first command I want you to learn is show DBS. Show DBS. And when you do that, you're going to have three little things that should come up. Admin, config, and local. And they should all be 0 right now. Because we have nothing. We've never done anything, right? If I want to make a new database, even if it doesn't exist, I want to use my database, right? I want to use a database that I'm going to call demo today. And if I press enter, it's going to say switch to demo. Here's demo. Did I make a demo? Did it ever exist? No, but now it does. That's how simple Mongo is. And it might confuse you. You're like, but it's simple and kind of stupid too. Yeah, but that's how it does it, right? So that's the first thing, so demo. And then I want to create a new collection, right? But instead of making a collection, I'm just going to insert into the collection. Once I insert into the collection is made. There is no make a new collection. No. It's like, I'm going to make a collection by inserting into it. And the command for inserting is something like this, db dot, and then the collection name. We'll just call this first collection. First, call it first. Make it db dot first dot insert. Okay. And then open bracket. You have to do all those commands like that. And then you want to insert what? What am I inserting? Remember, we're inserting objects. So it has to be an object format, okay? So I got to open a curly brace. What am I inserting? I'm inserting an object. Okay, in my object, what does it have? I want to have a name. I want to have a name. And the next thing I want to have is the name, the values, the key value pairs, like your name, right? And then close the curly brace, and then close the bracket, and then press enter. And if I did everything correctly, it's going to say right result 1 inserted. Right? Are we good? So what I've done is I've inserted a new document in a collection called first inside my database that I created called demo. Right? That's how easy it is. I didn't have to go and make a table and set up a database, blah, blah, blah. Now, how do I see that document? So db.find, right? If I just do this, I can't just do db.find. db.first, first in my first collection. I want to find If I just press that, enter, I see this. Let me just like minimize this so you don't be confused. Notice, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's like literally I went like this. I went db.first.find with nothing inside of it, and it gave me this. It spit it back up to me. And it also gave me this part, which is totally different from you than for you because it's unique, right? An object ID. You see this? Are you with me? If you're not with me, you know, you won't understand what we're doing here. Yeah, record. But this is what we've done here. We've made demo. Probably later on I won't call it demo because I already had that. Yes, it's kind of like FlexStar, but sometimes also I want to db that first is the collection, that find, that pretty. I want a pretty response. So I also do this. Right? We're going to see that there's other little things, other little tools we can do to make it return this stuff. Okay, I want to insert another record. CLS clear the screen. Right? So here we go. So, by the way, if I want to show collections, and I do that, I can do that if it's first. That's the collection I have. Remember collection? In your mind, think table, right? And if I want to go show DBS, that's databases. Now you can see that I have min, config, demo, and local. Wait, what does this look like? I just made a database and I stored something. What does this look like here? Right? So I want to kind of understand what's happening, right? So I want to go into data, I want to go into DB, and look, oh my God, look at all this stuff it's made, right? This is all the stuff it created for me, right? For my data store, right? And there's some small files, but take a look, they're like kilobytes. Kilobytes, they're not megabytes. They're not thousands of megabytes like, you know, that we do in other data stores. But we have our storage.basin, so set all this stuff up. And then we have a journal. This is what we've been doing, some other stuff. Notice it's completely unrecognizable. It doesn't show us the database. It doesn't say, hey, here's your database. The demo. Where's the demo database? See it? Nope. Right? You can use whatever you want. You know, all right, so this is kind of what we see. Nice, right? And all we have is a min, config, demo, and local. Okay, we have so far. All right, so if I go, I want to kind of insert. Let's do this again. Okay, so db dot. Okay, in my first collection, dot insert. And I want to insert another name, but I want to make it name and age this time, okay? It would look like this, curly brace. Remember, I'm making an object. I'm opening up an object. I have a name, the field, right? That's the name of the field. The name is the field. Okay, a new name, let's call it John, right? As an example. And then I want to add another field. How do I do that? Comma, right? I mean, it's just like writing JSON here, right? And then my new field. And let's call it age. And here's something that you can do with JSON. You can put like actual numbers. We're going to put it in quotations. So let's say the age is like 25. So John is 25, right? As an example. And notice that if I close it off, I can do this. Close square brace, close round bracket, and press enter. And if you get a result of 1, that means it's true. You're getting a positive result, right? Now, if I want to clear the screen, I go db.find, first.find, and press enter, I get 2 records. Or, are they records? The documents. The 2 documents in the collection. Both of them are totally different, right? One is name, Tom, the other one's name, John, and age 25. And I can make another one that has other data. I can make another one that has nothing to do with name and age. And this is where people get funky. They're like, wait, cool. But it's a collection. Shouldn't it be all the same? Does not. Right? Which is good and bad because people are like messed up because of it. Does that make sense? So it's all we've done. So this is how you can insert, and we've done finding, that we can do that. We can also find objects that have a certain value. For example, we have an age value of 25. I want to find all objects. Let's make another one. So we'll say db.first.find, insert. We'll say insert again. And we'll insert a new object that has a name. And we'll call her name Jane. So Jane and John. And her age is going to be also 25, right? When I close the curly brace off, close the round bracket, press enter, and when I do a db, by the way, you can arrow up here in the command line, so I can arrow up and I can do the last command, which is db.first.find, and press enter, and I can see all of them, right? So that finds everything. What if I only want to find one, right? I want to find one of them that has a pattern match, right? So I want to find db.first.find. I want to find one that returns only something that has an age. I want to find an object, right, that has an age, right, value of 25. I want to find this value, right? And if I do this, you can see it only returns the other two, but not the first one, because Tom doesn't have an age. The other two do, right? So the way finding works is db.first.find needs a curly brace because you're finding an object. What's the object parameters? I'm looking for age with the value, some kind of value. We're going to go into more in detail on this, but this is how the basic stuff works. So that you know. Curious, again, we're not going to use the command line ever after today, right? Well, maybe just for diagnostics, just to check to see what's in the database, okay? Well, we're probably never going to use this. Why are we doing this? Because the commands I'm using is very similar to the commands we're going to use on NPM and with Node, okay? Very similar. And so you have to understand the back end, how it works. So when you actually try and do a command with Node, you can understand if there's a problem. Are you with me? Any problems? Any questions? Pretty simple stuff, right? So again, CLS clears the screen. We can always arrow up to find the data again, right? There's arrowing up. And again, there's other commands we're going to use. We're going to learn right now. Let's go back to our PowerPoint for a second as we can continue this like MongoDB journey, right? Because we're learning about this. This MongoDB adventure, that's what it is, right? So again, you have, so I have an index, here's my index, right? And I have some kind of comments as an example. And maybe I have a bunch of comments, that's why I just dot there. I have a bunch of comments inside my my array. I can do this too, right? Because it's just, if it works for JSON, it's probably going to work here. If I want to have an array of objects with all my comments, I can make them an array of objects. I can make them an array of arrays. Anything that works in JSON pretty much will work here, right? But I need to keep track of how many comments I have. It won't return the number of comments. I have to enter it down here. So I can have another field that says comment count, where I keep track of all my stuff. And I can put that in there. Notice here that the number is outside, go back, the number is outside of the quotation. Why is that? Because quotations in the string, but JSON also accepts actual number value, right? Because it's the number, it's going to accept the number, right? That's what this does. So here's something we can say db.post.find, and then we can look for a property, and then we have a little modifier. Here's a modifier, $GT : and then this, right? This stands for greater than. So just like we've seen in HTML, right? GT. So if I say $GT : 10, it says find comments that have greater than 10 number, right? Let's do that. So we're going to make age greater than 25, right? Oh, here's something to note as well, right? So far we've been inserting, we can also update. Let's go back to this. Here's this. I want to the screen, I want to go db.first, that's the first collection, .insert, and I want to insert a new document of a person's name. And this person, we're going to call this, his name Gary, right? And Gary is going going to have an age, right, that is 35. We're going to close this document up and insert. Now if we do a db.find, the first dot.find, you can see that it returns everything. Where, you know, Tom, John, James, and Gary are there, right? But if I only want to find Gary, because I want to find people that have an age, you know, greater than 25. Now, I'm curious. I'm asking you this: will this be interpreted as a number or as a string? So if I try something like db.first.find, and then in brackets, and notice that the syntax, what it looks like here. Syntax looks like this, right? Some kind of age, colon, right, with the curly brace again, curly brace, $, DT, colon, and then what it is. So again, if I did that, if I said I want to find age with a colon and then a curly brace, right? And I want to find $ greater than, and then colon, and then a value, 35, right? If I did this, and I close this off, let me make sure, did I do this right? Oh, I forgot to put in a curly brace. Try that again. Curly brace, because it's actually in an object. Everything's in an object, right? So, I want to find age, and I want to find the age. It's also an object. The object is going to be $GT colon 35. Close off that object, and close off that object. Close off this thing. So enter. You see, I don't get anything because no, it didn't error out. I'm just telling you, I got nothing because, right? Even though I did this correctly, notice there's two curly braces. So curly brace to open, curly brace to do this part, and then the two curly braces to close. And notice there's semicolon. Semicolon's optional. You don't have to use semicolon. The reason why this is not true is because each of my comments are not, sorry, my age, they're not numbers, they're actually strings. So we're going to go back to updating them in a second. So it talks about data. We've done this page for a replica set. We don't really care about that right now. Just know that there's, you can also have replication into multiple databases. We're not going to do that because this is not a database course, but I want you to know that there are replications. You can make a data set that's replicatable across different databases. So it's there. And scaling, you know, as an example, is not a problem because what you can do is you can have multiple machines host the database, almost like striping, where you can stripe different pieces of data on different machines, and as it keeps going, it uses all those. It's not really cool. But again, I'm never going to test on this. I just want you to understand that you can have multiple databases and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so there we go. And that's MongoDB 3 in a nutshell. I'm skipping by here, which we kind of talked about already. And there's my insertion that we did before. Here's my find that we did before. And dropping, here's something. If I want to drop a collection, right, that means everything in the collection is dropped. Everything. Let's try that. So I go back to here, and if I go db.first.drop, press enter. This is true. And if I go now, if I just try and find everything, if I want to find, it's going to give me nothing. And it shows that whole table, right? So be careful. There is no, are you sure? Remember that. If you drop, it's gone, right? So let's put it back. Let's put some of these back. So I wanted to clear it, but let's do this again. Let's do it right. So db.first.insert. And again, I want to do this thing where I want to have a name, which is name. And we can actually do first name, last name this time. Let's make it a little more interesting. So first name. So first name. And we can have Tom, and then a comma, and then last name. Let's use camel case for that, and we'll call it my last name before your last name, or whatever. And then my age. But instead of putting a, okay, okay, I'll fix that. So that's good. So db.age, and then out my age, let's say my age, not 35. But let's just put that in there, and then I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to go over here and fix that problem. You've already found it for me. That's instead of this, instead of insert, it should be insert. Do some corrections. Make sure it's insert, not insert something else. And press enter. And then if I go db.first.find, then I should see this, right? My first name, last name, and age. It needs to be. Yeah. Okay, and let's add another one. Let's do some more. Okay, do your own. So first.insert, and then I'm going to put another one in there. You can see how this gets tedious and repetitive, but it's okay. We'll go first name. Make sure it's spelled correctly because it's not wrong. Mongol's not going to care. It's not going to correct you. It's not going to say, "Are you sure?" It doesn't matter. You can make 10 of them called first name, something else. You make as many fields as you want. Right? So again, we'll make it like John, and we'll say last name in this case Doe, John Doe, dead body, and then age for John Doe we'll say is 25 for John Doe. We'll close it up. And we'll also do db.first.insert, and we'll do something like our first name, we'll say James. Don't have a last name. Also Doe, same last name. And, her age, though, will be only 20. And press that and enter. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now if I do db.find, first.find, just like this. Okay, now we can check out that other thing we did before. By the way, it remembers, right? So if I go clear screen, if I go up, I can keep going up until I find this, right? Now, this will not find anything because there's nothing that's greater than 35, right? But, however, I can modify it to say greater than 25, say 25 is greater than 25. It'll return me, I'm greater than 25, right? Notice that John Doe didn't come up because John Doe is 25. If I want to find greater than 20, then me and John Doe will be returned, right? And if I want to, have greater than something else, let's say greater than 15, then all three of us will go. Works this time because those values are numbers, number type, not a string type. I'll go there in a second. What's that time? I do what? Sure. Let's enter another. Instead of a new one. So, like a string? I won't find it. Like, let's say, for example, if I go back and I say that, okay, my first name, instead of James, we'll call them, notice I can modify here right on the fly. Instead of first name being James, we'll call her Sarah. Sarah. Right? Sarah Doe, her age is going to be something like, she's 15 years old. I can do that, right? And if I go back and I say anything db.first.find, you can see that I get all four of them now, right? There's those and me, right? So John, Jane, and Sarah, right? And there's 15, 20, and 25. I can modify them. I can find each one of them. But yeah, if I go back there, notice I can't update. I haven't updated yet, right? I just inserted. Okay? So we've done two things actually. I can read stuff. Is that fine? And I can insert, right? So I can do that, or create and read right now. But I can't update or delete. Let's look at those two. Second. That's full correct. All right, so that's we drop it there. Here's some CRUD operations we're going to learn. So we went and created a new document. Notice that there is update and save. different things you can use. Here's insert, we've done this already, db dot whatever, the name of the collection, insert. And we can insert different ones, right? But here's something that is interesting. If I update, okay, now my problem with updating is it actually kills the entire thing. So if I don't do this, notice this is a dp.post.update, user Alice, right? This is the user, and then curly brace, right? To use a curly brace, what I want to update, right? What I want to update, and then upsert is true. Let's talk about this in a second. Upsert flag, create a new document if no document matches the query. So if I don't find one, then insert a new one. So that's what this one does, right? Okay, but let's modify one. To show you what the challenge is. There's two ways of doing this. If, as an example, I go and modify, if I go and modify a document like this, I say db.first.update, and I want to update a document with the name. I gotta find something. I gotta find a document first, right? So I find. I'm gonna find a document with name, first name, right? And my first name is gonna be Tom, right? So I first want to update the document with the name of Tom, comma. So my first part is find a document with this criteria, matching this criteria. Cool. Now, what do I want to update? Curly brace. I'm going to update this stuff. I want to update my, first name. Here's the challenge, guys. Okay, listen to this. Watch this. I only want to modify my first name, right? And instead of Tom, I'm going to call myself Thomas, right? I'm going to close it down. Press enter. Modify. So it says match 1, upserted 0. I mean, if I didn't insert new one, modified 1. Okay. Now, what does Tom look like? If I go with db.find, first.find. If I do this, there. Look, what happened to my last name? What happened to my age? Gone. This is bad, right? I wanted to update, and it did. When I updated it by killing the other stuff, right? So that's not a great way to do it. So then what this does is it says that here's my title, and here's my user. These are the things I'm updating, and then upsert is true. And another way of doing it, creating a new document, is on the save method, passing it the document that either doesn't have an ID or has an ID, right? So I want to say like db.post.save title and user. Same thing as a thing. Same effect as an update. But however, and again, one thing I want to go through this with you, and I want to do this really quickly, is we should look at the DB, MongoDB information online, right? So I'm going to go to MongoDB, right? And again, I want to get documentation on MongoDB. So if I click on here, you can see that on Mongo, I have resources, right? And there's documentation down here. This is important. So again, it's docs.mongodb.com, right? Or go into the links that I put through. On the left, it says MongoDB products. So there's some guides getting started, right? What we're looking for is the API documentation, right? So here's the MongoDB manual, which is what I want to write. Okay, here's my MongoDB manual. MongoDB manual tells me which version, version 4, right? And there's other versions. You can go back, and they're slightly different for other versions. So please make sure it's 4, right? Okay, and then it says MongoDB shell and whatever, and but it wouldn't be good if we didn't have a search. Let's just put in insert. So if I want to insert documents, I can know how to do it. Here's some commands on how to insert. Notice there's some other options: insert many, insert only one, bulk insert, right? These are things you can do. What about if I wanted to update? So I wanted to update. You can see that I want a db.collection.update, right? Update many, update one, right, and so on. Let's look at this update one. Let's click on update. So this is my collection, db.collection, whatever the collection name is. Our case is first. You can make it whatever you want. Okay, I'm just using first, right? But don't look at that. And so you can see that there's some stuff. I want to do a query, I want the update, and then some options. These are all the options. Okay? Upsert, if this doesn't exist, multi, right concern, collation, and array focus. And basically tells you what all these things are, right? So multi is optional if set to true, updates multiple documents that meet the criteria. So if I want to update every one that matches the criteria that's greater than 25, all of them will want to change, I can do that, right? If I put this multi on. Right concern, optional. A document expressing the right concern, omit to use the default right concern. We don't care about that. Collation, optional. Specifies the collation to use for the operation. Some kind of collation, which is a special set of criteria we can use. Array filters, any, optional. Any array filter documents that determines which array elements to modify for an update operation on an array field. We don't have an array field, so this doesn't make sense. And then some examples. Okay, so here you get some examples. And notice that actually gives you the little copy commands so you can do that, right? Where you can do ORs, this one or this one, and this one and this criteria. You can make very complex criteria, search criteria to do that, greater than, and so on. Okay? And replace a document entirely, right, by using the update command, the update method, the upsert option. And here's an example of where we want to update Andy. We're looking for a document with the name of in people with the name of Andy. We're updating the name Andy. We're also changing the rating and the score. And then, just in case Andy doesn't exist, we use upsert as true. And we have, if it doesn't exist, insert this for you. What was that? What do you no. We're verbally constructed. We're going to do that. But I'm just showing you this stuff because this is an understanding of how it works in the back end. You need to understand what's happening here. Otherwise, when you do it on UI, there's no UI, by the way. Never. No UI. There's third party. There is, but you know, it's garbage. You want to do it this way, right? And the thing is, if you notice there's update, you can see which one you want. But you can also update a specific record, like an operation number, and you can see that what we're looking at, here's the set of stuff we want to increase, and there's a bunch of other stuff. But notice we replaced the entire document. So, by the way, so here's replace all fields in the document. Notice there's ID of 2, and then we replace everything, right? And here we're only replacing the fields we save, we delete the other ones, right? This is what we do. Update multiple documents. And this is basically how it would work, okay? Now remember, we update everything. So when we do update, we include everything, right? Let's do find. So we look at find. All right, so here is find. Collections of find. There's different ones we can find. We can also remove. Find, remove. We can do that like a kind of a combination of find and then remove one, right? Find and modify. We can do that. There's a bunch of different commands we can use to do that. And I believe there's also a pretty command. Is there a pretty command? Yeah. And what the pretty command does is, if I'm not wrong, it actually returns the document in this way. See if that, oh, I'm going to look that up for a second. So on db.find.pretty. Yeah, it's supposed to be like this, right? Collection find pretty. I'm not sure if they disable that. There used to be a way of making this look nicer. So it's like this db.first.find.pretty. And what that does, yeah, it does this, right? So it actually organizes it differently, right? Why would we want it this way? Pretty, because it actually shows us everything, all our records on different lines, right? Which is cool. This way, right? 4 to 3. Especially when you have a document within a document. You want a document, the document, the document. like instead of documents. Why would I have documents within a document? Because I have my a list of documents that I have that I like. For example, Tom, who's also 35, has all of his likes. He has all the different things he likes. He likes I don't know, some kind of sports, or maybe he likes games. What are Tom's favorite games? Right? Favorite games are going to be documents with the name, the game, the rating for the game, and a bunch of stuff. I can embed that inside of the document. Okay, so then of course it would look really messy this way, but here you can actually see it. Okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint for a second. So again, we talked about updates, reading documents we can use find, right? We want to find a particular item. We can also look inside. We want to find users. And when we find the in operator, right, you can look at users called Alice or Bob. This is a way of finding the user and returning one of them. Both those two things, user, Alice or Bob, right? And there's a bunch more that I'm not going to go through because I'm going to bore you to death, right? Because it's how it works. I just want to get you a general idea of how this works, okay? So again, update takes 3 arguments. The first argument is the selection. The second argument is the update. And the third argument is any options, right? We talked about this. All right, cool. Here's something. If we use the set keyword, we don't delete everything else. Okay, this is the way we do it, which is important. Okay, I just changed Thomas, right? I went like this. I said first name is Thomas, right? My first name. And what I want to do is I want to add a new one, right? So I'm just going to go back and add that one back in. So if you notice that I added me here at this point. Let's put me back in. I can do that because I have me and me, but me is Thomas and me also is something else, right? So I can update. Let's update Thomas to get my last name, right? So if I go db.first, right? That find as an example, you can see that I have Thomas and Tom. If I want to get Thomas some last name, so if I did that, and I don't want to kill my Thomas itself, right? How do I do that? Okay, db.update. I want to search for the thing that I want to update, which is with the first name, right? Thomas. db.first update first name Thomas, right? And then comma, that's my criteria. Sorry, I've got to close this off, curly brace, comma. So there's 3 different parts, right? And each part has an object, right? And the second part would be what I want to update. So I want to set, right? So $set, right? And just like it says in the document, colon, open bracket, open curly brace, what I want to set. I want to set the last name. Change the last name, keep the last name. And it doesn't exist. What happens if it doesn't exist? So we'll create it, right? And we'll say Thomas, I don't know, make the name up. Century. Here we go, Thomas Century. That's a superhero name. All right, and we'll pull this up. We'll do this part, and we'll pull this up. And if I did that, it says match 1, upsert to 0, modified 1, right? And if I go and look at that again, I can see that now Thomas has a first name and a last name of Century, but it didn't kill Thomas. It got Thomas there, right? The first name is stayed, right? So if I only want to modify something, I use the set criteria for the things that I want to modify. Let's update it. And if I want to do that again, so if I go back to this, and instead of last name, I want to choose that the age, when I add an age value, and my age is going to be, let's make Thomas the oldest one, make him 45. And I can do that. And if I go back to the slides, you can see now that Thomas also has an age of 45. Right? So I can modify them as opposed to just deleting them. If we just use update, you wipe out the entire thing and put new information right in the document. Okay? Don't worry, Roy, we're going to eventually do this with code. You probably didn't do it right. It's just like, again, maybe things like here. It's hard to see, right? So it's, I apologize, but it should do it for you. Okay, let's go back to this. So again, we have this one, so update multiple documents. We talked about this. We can save. Deleting documents. We need to do this. They don't want full correct. Okay, so we need to use the remove criteria. So there's two parts, two arguments. The first one is, okay, I want to find the document to remove. And the second part is a Boolean argument that indicates whether or not to remove multiple documents. So if I want to remove all documents that have an age that's greater than 25, and if I put multi-true, then I'm good. And it looks like this, db.whatever.remove. If I did this, I remove all, everything from the, it's like drop. If I did this, okay? So please don't do this. Like drop, it won't even ask you. It'll say, yes, we're good. Everything's gone now, right? And all that work we did is over. But if I want to remove a particular user, I can just do the same thing. So user Alice, right? And if I want to remove all users that have Alice as the first name, user with Alice, true, then I can do that. Let's remove, in our case, Thomas, because that Thomas sensitive, that guy doesn't exist, right? He's a fake name in the database, right? So if we go back to here and I want to remove Thomas, I can just say db dot again the collection name first dot remove. We got to search for what we're removing, which is first name as an example of Thomas in this case. And if I don't put anything else, I just close it off, I'll just remove him. If I want to remove all people's name of Thomas, I can hit true. Okay? Here we just want to put this is enough, I press enter, and it says remove one. Now if I go back and I go db dot, collection name, so first, dot find, dot pretty. You can see that there is no more Thomas. Okay? That's right. That's enough. I'm telling you, that's all you need to understand. The ability for you to do something. What happens, how it works, how the database is working. You know everything about Mongo now. Sure, and there's more, right? But really, at the end of the day, there's just modifications of these commands. Update, insert, delete, which is remove, right, in our case. And that's it. That's Mongo in a nutshell. So this is why Mongo is so popular, because, look, it's not that difficult to figure out, right? You don't have to do complicated queries and all that kind of stuff. You can use it much easier. And if you really want to find anything, all the documentation is online. What is it would be hard to see, wouldn't it? Right? Yeah, but you wouldn't do it this way. This isn't the way you would look at it. You'd make your own interface, right? Which is what we're going to do. That's the point of what we're doing. Today, we're making our own interface with, NPM, right? To do this, we're going to have our own database. So please don't delete anything here, because we're going to use the demo database, or this demo database with our first collection. We're going to use this, right, when we do some coding coming up, right? So we need some kind of data. Otherwise, we're going to have to go on the data again. I don't want that anyway. So, are we good? You guys understand what we've done so far? It's pretty straightforward, but some of the challenges when we do this is the end of this slideshow, is understanding Mongo. Now, unfortunately for us, right? Typically, I have 2 lessons to do this. So we're going to take a short break, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. No more than 20 minutes, please. Let's meet back at 10:20, right? Get your coffee, your tea, go to the washroom, and we'll come back and continue with the next PowerPoint. That's the table. No table.
What do you mean? जोरते बोल गए हमला तो नहीं गर्लफ्रेंड आएगी ना એટલે રાતે બહુ પેન કરતી હતી મને એટલે ગાડી મૂકી મેં કીધું પગ હા હા હું આમ જ છું ને અહીંયા મને બહુ વાગે કાઢ નાખી એકવાર મને એવું થયેલું ઓકે મને રડતી હોય છે કામ જ એવા છે ને કોઈ નહીં આવે આજે મારા સુર નથી વાગતા લઈ જાઓ આપણે ત્યાં પૂછતા
Oh no, I don't think this side is cold.
Yeah, it's
Cool. I think the આમાં એવું છે મને ક્વેશ્ચન